And her daughter looked at me and said, no, her daughter looked at her mother, and then her mother, my wife, said, I pay the water bill here.
Oh.
Yeah. Now,
all right. Welcome back to another episode of Finally One.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Natasha.
And this is take 2 with the Johnsons. We recorded a whole episode yesterday, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I tried every trick I knew in the book to raise the levels of the sound. Sometimes it looked like you was what is it called? A ventriloquist. You really did nothing. But welcome, the Johnsons. Introduce yourselves, and I want both of you to talk equally.
Thank you.
Oh, why would you put that stipulation in?
Because you got to be straight up with you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Rodney Johnson, Jeanette Johnson.
So let her introduce herself.
Oh, I didn't know you. See, okay. Rodney Johnson and
I'm Jeanette.
Okay. And today is Jeanette's birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, good stuff. All right. Let's jump into your story. How did you all meet?
It was one day in the summer of 2008 is when we met at the car wash.
that's right, because she was in there getting her car washed by herself, sitting in the car
wash.
Yep, by herself in the car wash. And then I walked in 6'4", at that time, 220 pounds. Today, 6'4", 298. So I'm glad I met her 17 years ago, because I might have been in trouble today. But met in the car wash, sitting there by herself, walked up to her and said, hey, you should give me your number so I can take you out because you don't have a man. And she said, pardon me? I said, you don't have a man. She said, how you know I don't have a man? I said, because you're here getting your car washed. And if you have a man and you're here getting your car washed, you don't have a man. So either way, you should give me the number because you ain't got a man.
All that in the first 30 seconds.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm just speechless. I'm just like.
Because she was in awe that 6'4" was hovering over her.
No, I was like, who is this dude just approaching me like this? You know, I'm not dressed. You know, I'm casual. I just come out of the field and I just wanted time to myself and get my vehicle, my oil changed and my truck washed. And here he comes and
with confidence.
With great confidence. And
no money.
Yeah.
Confidence and no money. What gave you the confidence with no money?
Man, you don't have to have no money, man. I'm telling you right now, the average dude cannot hold a conversation. So since I knew I could engage in conversation, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in the Army, I used to hang out with this lieutenant, and we were both from Baltimore. And then we would always meet like a couple ladies. And then my buddy, the first thing he would say is, hey, next weekend, let's go to the movies and let's go to dinner. And so we would go to the movies, and then we go to dinner. And then the whole time at dinner, he talking about the movie. And then finally, like the second time we met some ladies, he said the same thing. I said, you know what? You can't talk, can you? He said, no. I said, I tell you what, forget that. Buy some food, come to my house, bring the girls to my house. I'll have a conversation. And I saved a lot of money. And then I realized as long as you can engage in conversation and women laugh and find you interested, it's engaging, you good. You don't have to spend no money. Now, if you don't have a conversation, you better have some money.
That's true. That's true. So tell us about that first date, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first date.
Waffle House.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to meet at a restaurant named Taco Mac. It was an evening where you were just coming off of a gig.
Right. Yep. It was late.
Wasn't Taco Mac closed?
Yep. Taco Mac was closed. Yeah. And so we ended up going to Waffle House.
Waffle House. And,
Waffle House for the first date.
Yeah.
Okay.
And since he was so interesting upon his first meeting, I was like, okay, no problem, let's go. I didn't have any reservations at that time.
Well, Natasha, let me ask you this question, because you have made reference to my Waffle House restaurant. Where would you have wanted to go on your first date?
maybe to a steakhouse or something.
She a cheap date too. She,
No,
Where did we-
house though.
we went to McDonald's. We
To McDonald's?
yes. That's all they had in your neighborhood.
Mm.
Okay, okay.
I would have rather gone to Waffle House. That's
You know
all
what
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying? She's a cheap date too. I don't even know why she talk about that.
Anyway,
She grew up eating mustard sandwiches with no meat.
please, why you
By choice. By
Oh,
choice.
yes.
Not because
Now,
they didn't have it.
now let me just say this to you. We used to eat them too, and they were good.
No. No, sir.
But we used to eat them on toast.
No, sir.
Oh, see, I just had white bread and mustard. And then one day I got sick and just saw yellow everywhere. I said, no, I'm done. But I still love mustard, but no.
Anyway, so how was the first date?
I'm gonna be honest, but I don't remember what we talked about. But for us to finish our date, walking out to just before us getting up, he said, oh, you're gonna be my wife. And, again, in awe, I'm really just speechless, because he's a different character, different kind of a dude,
Running game the whole time. Go ahead. How did you know she was the one?
Well, for me, I just knew. I mean, I knew, first of all, I had asked God to send me a wife from the Philippines, but, in my comedic side, I wanted to go to the Philippines and pick her, and I didn't want her to know English. I wanted to teach her English so I could teach her the words I wanted her to know, like yes, anything you say, And I'm serious. That was my mindset because you know what? This is what I did not know. And this is all jokes aside. What I did not know is that the women that I had been involved with or in relationships with always saw me as a dictator and a controlling person and all of these adjectives. And I had to always fight against them. And I said that the next woman I was either involved with or I married, I wanted to make sure she came from a two-parent household because I found out later that the women I married never had fathers. So they never understood my role. They looked at me as being a controlling dictator. And I said, all I am is a provider and a producer. So when you're providing and producing, there are stringent guidelines that come with that. There's a level of responsibility. And so when I found out she was not only Filipino and African American, and she had a mother and a father, I just felt that this was right because I had asked for this. I had asked for a woman from that culture based upon how they supported the men, Whereas I felt that in the African American community, and not all, so don't be sending no letters about the sisters.
Right, exactly.
What I'm saying is a lot of times in the African American community for women, they're raised by single mothers that teach them to be independent, career driven. And in a lot of cases, you'll see that the women in marriages are professionals and the guys got jobs. She's a nurse practitioner and he's an Uber driver, and they've been married 15 years and stuff like that because the single Black mother didn't want her daughter to encounter the things that she encountered. So a lot of them are college degreed and professionals where they've crippled the son. So for me, when I met her, I just felt that it was comfortable. Plus, she was in the military. I could identify with that. And then she was pretty and she was easy to talk to. And I just knew, I said, all right, this is where I'm going to lay my head. And you got to figure out if you want to lay your head next to mine. But if you lay your head next to mine, you ain't got to worry about tomorrow. I got that today. Oh, yeah, that'll preach. Pray for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Jeanette, when did you get that womanly intuition that he was the one?
No, I didn't. But let me just go back to what you were saying about the culture of the Filipino culture. And it's very true. It's very much of a servant type culture. Now, I'm an American, which kind of we are raised in a very Filipino household, where mom did everything. She served dad, she did all that. But then as an American and, and going out into the adult world, that kind of took over the side of what Rodney probably really would have wanted, but I think that's what, for me, it just kind of challenged me, your type of personality, and
Well, let me break it down what she's really trying to say. When I met her, the Filipino side was prevalent, and then I married her, and then the Philadelphia side came out.
yeah. Well, Natasha, his concept really, it did sound good. I was like, oh, okay, because I did ask God one, please, Lord, send me a man that will tell me no. Because unfortunately, the men that I've been with, not that they couldn't tell me no, but I didn't want to always be in the lead. I didn't want to always have to make a decision. What did I want? Well, what do you want to do? Because I just wanted to go for the ride. And so in theory, those first several years of us, it did sound good. And I really did try to evolve into that, I guess, that servant, not servant. You know what I'm trying to say.
No, I know exactly what you're saying because I
Yeah.
lived it.
Yeah.
All right, break it down. So what was that obstacle that y'all had to overcome in marriage, and how did you overcome it?
Well, she had to, what it was the leadership, me leading, and her not leading, her supporting the leadership. Now and again, when she said she wanted a man to tell her no, I never told her no what pertained to her. I was saying no to things that I didn't think we needed to do, that I didn't think were going to be beneficial for us as a couple. Those are the things that I said no. So if she said she wanted a new car, we just went, I got a new car. She didn't have to, go back and forth or debate. I didn't say no to that, but I would say no if she's going to co-sign on a car for her daughter. And what she would have done, not in a relationship with me, but if she was maybe in a relationship with someone else, which would have been okay. Here's some things that what I mean about no. Her and her ex-husband, the father of her child, every other weekend, she would drive literally 2 hours one way to drop off the daughter to see her father, go back to 2 hours home, and then on Sunday take the 2 hours and go back, pick up the. If she was married to me, that would have never happened.
Wow.
And no, that's his responsibility, But again, she was married to a guy that, maybe he didn't see nothing wrong with it, or whatever his mindset was.
And then even in that same situation, it was what I decided to do as well. So it really was a 50-50.
Yeah. So when she met me, I'm the buzzsaw. I'm like, no, I don't do that. I look out for you. I don't have to look out for them. They have to do that on their own. And so now here comes the curveball into her operation. And so she rebelled against that. But I'm saying, what I'm telling you is going to be beneficial for you in the long haul. But she's looking at it differently because she never had to run that by anybody. And again, this is where that controlling and the dictatorship comes from. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to protect my house. I'm trying to protect you, and I'm trying to protect our house from them. And if you allow me to do my job, you'll be able to go to the graduation and applaud. But if we do it your way, somebody's going to be disappointed because, again, I'm not saying in all cases, but in a lot of cases, historically, women make decisions from emotional places, as they should, because that's how they were designed. If you have him there, that's why you have to have both the mother and the father, because you need him for that structure and guidance, and I need you to be that undergirding love and nurturing for what he brings. Again, let's go back. Adam and Eve, when they messed up in the garden, what did God say? Adam, where are you?
Yeah.
Who I put in charge, who I gave the responsibility to.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kelly.
Hello, and I'm Natasha.
Listen, we are available and would love to be a part of your church service on a Sunday morning, your workshops, your panels, or anything, your events, anything you're doing in relation to relationships and or marriage. All right. we can share our testimony like we've done at other churches and shared how we finally became one and how we went from teenage parents to married in our 20s, divorced in our 30s, and happily remarried in our 40s. We also have some other topics that my lovely wife is going to share. What are some of those other topics we can help with?
Restoring trust after infidelity, communication, restoring the intimacy, and becoming one.
Yep. So some pastors has even brought us in on a Sunday morning, and we have been the message for that morning. So if this is you, you want us to come share this video with your pastor, share it with your marriage ministry. Even if you got a marriage small group, we would love to be a part of it. To lock in a date, all you need to do is go to kellyandnatasha.com. You can fill out the booking form there, or you can just simply shoot us an email, right? So we look forward to serving you, serving your couple, serving the ministries in your church, and even at your event. Anything you want to say, Ben?
No, we look forward to hearing from you.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
So since I have that responsibility, I have to carry that, because what I can't do is stand in front of the court of law and say, well, I didn't know, and this and that. I want to be accountable. And if something does happen, at least I want to be aware of it, and that I made the best choice that I felt I could to protect my family.
Yeah. So going back to that first date, I have to say, ever since that date, we've been together ever since. And
So how long have y'all been married?
17 years.
Yeah.
17
years. So.
And then she said to me on the first date, I've been married 3 times. And I said, well, you picked wrong 3 times.
Yeah. He did say that. So that didn't sway him. It didn't throw him off at all.
Picked 3 losers.
And this was your third, though, right? Right.
She was gonna be my third, yeah. But they chose wrong. I didn't choose wrong. I did what I was supposed to do, and I'm going to continue to do it. But again, see, they did not understand. You gotta understand, my first wife, we were high school, and she was one of, I think, 11 children, but she was left in the hospital. Her parents didn't take her home. So she grew up in foster care her whole life. Now, what was missing in her life was real family. The one thing I did tell her was, in the 60s and 70s, Black families couldn't leave areas because there was too many kids. I said, I guarantee you, your family is still here. We should go look for them. But she never really wanted the answer. And then finally, she did find the answer. And just like I had told her, I said, what if you find out that you being raised in foster care was better for you than your biological siblings? And she actually found her biological family like 38 years later. And they told her, you were way better off than us, because our parents were alcoholics and abusive. And that's why they were all in and out of foster care. And she stayed in the same foster house for 18 years. And then I married my second wife. Again, no father, no structure, not understanding my role. And I'm fighting with her over my responsibility. And then when I meet Jeanette, I'm fighting the same fight, but from a different advantage point. And I'm saying, my growth came from the 2 failures, because I realized you can't protect people from themselves. You got to let them learn for themselves. You got to let them hit the wall and then come back and ask for help. Because if you try to keep them from hitting the wall, they will resent you because they never feel the consequences of their choices. And that's where I kept getting in trouble, because nobody felt the consequences of their choices, because I kept jumping in, teaching, protecting, providing, and detours. And then I became the villain, because again, I'm controlling the narrative, but I'm saying what you are doing, it's not going to produce.
Wow.
So I had to learn to go, you know what? Let me share this with you. And then you make the decision you feel is best. And I would always say, I do not think that decision is going to pan out the way you think it is. And then I would get out of the way. And sure enough, it would not pan out. And after a few defeats, finally, she, not gave up or surrendered, but just realized, you know what, maybe I should listen and apply some of this, because I'm seeing that it's really beneficial for both of us. And he's not here to harm me. He's here to protect me, because emotionally, I would do that.
Right. Yeah. But with that, I have to say that he did give me a lot of grace. in that season. I have to say there was a season of blinders, there was a season of whatever. I know what I want to do. I got to do it this way. And I shared with him, he had every reason to want to leave.
Do we share one example?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Yes, please
Yes,
do.
please.
Yeah.
So her daughter had a boyfriend, and my wife decided to buy a $200,000 custom built home for them to live in because she really wanted her granddaughter to grow up in a style that her daughter was accustomed to growing up in. And I'm saying, hey, if they decide to get married and you give them the money to buy the house as a down payment, that's fine. I'm all for that. But to buy the house and put it in your name and then let them pay what they can pay up to, and then you supplement the rest, and they are shacking. How do you think that's as a Christian? How do you?
Okay. Yeah. With that, I wasn't thinking in that.
Exactly.
I wasn't thinking at all.
All she saw was her baby, her granddaughter.
Right. That's all I saw. And I guess you could say, yeah, I wanted to maintain some level of control because got a house right here in our neighborhood, for her.
And here's the lesson in all of this. So I tell my wife, I say, babe, I don't think this is right. I said, how do you make me marry you to sleep with you, and you gonna let them sleep under your roof unmarried? That's the first thing. Number two, I go to the young man and I said, hey man, as a man, you don't ever let no woman make the decisions on your ability to provide for your family. I said, because what you've just done is you've taken your last name, cut it off, and put it in her purse. And I said, how long do you think you're going to have to work to be able to afford this house for your family? That young man looked at me and said, 18 months. I said, son, you don't even make the mortgage per month at the job you have.
Right.
I said, son, no, she's setting you up for failure, son. Don't do it. You said, but why would I not? If it's going to help me, I said, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you. You'll see. And that joker got in there, 9 months later, he couldn't take it.
Yeah. Wow. So needless to say, it crumbled. That whole entire situation crumbled, emotionally, financially. It put a strain on our marriage because here I am trying to manage two homes, and trying to do it to where and I had to make it look like I could make it work. And all the while I'm struggling.
Yeah, talk about hitting that wall. Like,
Yeah.
what did that feel like, and what got you back on track?
When how do you say, when their hand was shown to me?
Oh, when they was just unappreciative for what she had done for them.
Yeah, at that time, in that season, my daughter, she was still young, and I was the one that put her in this situation she was not mature enough for at that time. She just really wasn't, so I can't blame her fully. It was on me. But it wasn't until I realized, oh, don't nobody really care, because it was only maybe a year and they all left the house. So I was stuck with everything.
Yeah.
I was so fortunate that I was able to sell it without a loss. But that was when I was like, okay, this me and you.
You ain't with what I said on day one.
Right.
But again, I had to let her experience all that.
Right. Go through it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when Rodney told me the story. Well, no, y'all together. We was at Cracker Barrel, and you said she walked in the room, and you said, "Oh, you ready to listen now?"
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Because again, look, I'm just here to make sure that she's okay.
Yeah.
We're one. So, I told her, I used to when I used to do the same thing you guys are doing. If I'm with a group, one of the questions I would always ask, and this spoke volumes, and you can use it for each other. So whether it's the female or the male. So Kelly, I'll use you as the example, and then Natasha, just flip it for yourself. But Kelly, you're the man. You have one kidney. You got three people you can give it to. You can give it to your mother, you can give it to your wife, or you can give it to your daughter. You can only give one, and the other two are going to die. Who do you give the kidney to?
My wife.
Absolutely. Correct answer. 10 out of 10 times. You'd be surprised how many people vacillated over that. Yeah. Man, I'll get up. I'm going to get that kidney to my mother because my mother did this, or my child. And I would always say the correct answer is your spouse, because that's the only place in the Bible where it said the two become one. Now, what you can do with the oneness is you and your wife, hey, babe, I'm giving my kidney to you. And then you and your wife can decide together, hey, we want to give it to our daughter, or we want to do this. That's fine. But for you to make that decision and bypass the oneness, and so same way, if it was, Natasha, you got to give it to your husband, your son, or your father. Who do you give it to? And you would be surprised in this conversation, nobody but me picked the wife. And then when they said, and one guy even got mad, talking about my mama. And then about 6 months later, his mama did something crazy. And then he said, yeah, hey man, you was right. I said, I told you. This is what God puts together. Your mother had a union or whatever with someone else, and your children will leave you and go live their life.
Right. Yeah.
So you can give your kidney if you want to.
That was her in the second marriage. See, she's abusive. You see me jump and stuff. Stop. But we on camera. But she was all about the baby girl. Marriage. All about the baby girl. Oh. She would give baby girl the kidney. But she quickly learned. Baby girl started living her life.
Yeah.
It was like,
it's you.
But again, you got to realize, think about it. What does it say in the Bible? It says that a man and his wife will do. They'll cleave together. Right. One of the things it says is that the man will leave his mother and his father, right? Well, the problem is most men ain't leaving them. They're leaving the mother. Mm-hmm. And some of the battles that I have with men is because, and again, let me just say this because I don't want no hate mail coming y'all way. Not all men raised by their mothers are a certain way, but a lot of them that are raised by their mothers do not have the James Evans mindset or that influence in their life. So they were led from an emotional place. Yeah. Where like me and Kelly, we were talking the other day. Look, my father was John James Evans. That was my dad. That was my dad. James Evans, Archie Bunker, George Jefferson, those were my fathers. I did not know no dude like Cliff Huxtable, okay? No. I didn't know them type of dudes. Nope. I didn't know them dudes talking about, well, Theo, let me sit down and talk to you. I heard, hey, come here. What did I tell you? Yeah. Now, what that did for me is when I became grown, and if I ran into someone with authority, I understood it. I didn't buck up against it. I understood it. So therefore, I'm saying that a lot of the men today, they were not raised. They was raised by, you supposed to tell your mother your pipe dreams. I used to lay across the bed and tell my mother all my dreams and aspirations. And my mother would be like, oh, baby, that's so good. So you're going to be an astronaut. Well, that's wonderful. What spaceship you think you're going to be on? Well, baby, that's good. And then my daddy, I don't care about no astronaut. You better get out there and cut that grass. I told you to do such and such stuff and take out the trash. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And then he's talking about, my daddy was walking around talking about astronaut. He gonna go to the moon. Can't even clean upstairs.
Same. That's exactly how I was raised. My dad did not care. He took me from Chicago, moved me to Virginia, and no public transportation. The school is probably 10 miles hilly. He looked at me and said, listen, I don't play football. You play football. You got to figure it out.
But you don't. What a lot of young men don't understand is that's the best education. Because what you doing today, figuring it out. When I went to play basketball, I said, Dad, the basketball shoes are $40. My daddy gave me 15. You figure out the other 25. And I'm like, how do I do it? I'm 15. I don't even have a job.
Yep.
I thank God for snow. That snow came that Saturday. Me and my shovel was out.
Yeah. Yeah. He told me one time my brothers wasn't giving me my messages because there was one phone back in the day.
Right.
And he was like, look, that's my phone. He said, don't ask me about my phone. He said, get your own phone. Next day, guess what I did? I
That's right.
called the phone company. I had a line run to my room, bought my own phone. I said, bet nobody ever touch it.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
why he's successful.
Yeah.
And that's why all other dudes are sitting on the couch.
that's true. That's true. Jeanette, what advice would you give a woman who's struggling to submit or get in that place where the husband and wife can become one?
You know, like we talked about yesterday, this marriage has been a growth process for me, biblically, anyway, spiritually, because as we said, you know, this was my fourth marriage. My previous marriages, though, my first one was done in Reno at the casino. My second one was in a church, and my third was in a church as well. But I can't say that covenant was, well, those covenants were not strong enough to keep us there because I wasn't biblically grounded. And especially having been newly saved out, you know, just meeting my husband, it was like fertile ground. It was new. So really, I was able to learn, you know, through this marriage, you know. So one thing, you have to fight. You have to have, you need to want to be there. I would share with Rodney years ago that this was the hardest marriage or relationship I've ever been in. And he used to take offense to that. And I'm like, no, it's because I want to be here. I want to make this work.
No, she said her words, and I quote, being with you is tougher than all the marriages combined.
Uh-oh.
And so,
and I was offended at first,
right,
until I realized, oh, that's a badge of honor. That means I'm handling things and she doesn't have to handle them, and she has to let go of her control and her leadership. Now, I'm not saying she's not a leader. Let me say this again, because I don't want y'all to be getting no hate mail. I said to my wife upon meeting her, this house operates in one of three ways. Number one, what we agree upon. That's the first way this house operates.
Yep.
It will never operate what you say to usurp what I've said. And then if it comes down to the decision, I'm going to make it. And if I make it, that's it. Now, that rubs some people wrong, or sometimes women take that the wrong way. And the reason why they take it the wrong way is because of their contributions to the survival of the house, because they have jobs or careers or whatever. Again, you got to understand, this is just me, and I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm just talking about me. No wife I've ever had to work, period. But she had to be able to live on what I was able to provide and produce. So they worked because they didn't want a Toyota Corolla. They wanted a Mercedes. Okay, you might have to go get that. So again, if this is what I can offer you, whatever level that is, if you can accept it, you don't have to work. But if you go create debt that I have no idea about, you're going to have to go work to fulfill that, because I'm not taking care of what we didn't discuss. So again, when it comes to marriage, you have to understand, based upon the conversation and the actions, men will say a lot of stuff to get in there, and then once they're in there, they can't. I know a guy right now who when he met his wife, he knew she was a Christian. He walked around with his Bible. He had the Baptist hymnal in the back of his car. He had on the gospel music station. She married him. They've been married 26 years. They have never in 26 years been members of the same church.
Oh.
But those 4 years of courting, he was at church with her. He did all the things that she wanted. And she even said it. All I ever asked for him was to be the spiritual head of the family.
Wow.
Wow.
So, but I'm not like that. I told her I was crazy when I met her. Told her I was crazy. I told her, Shaw, I said, hey, Shaw, let me tell you how I'll be right? That's what I'm gonna do.
I just didn't know how.
She didn't know how crazy I was, but I asked her how she living though, Shaw. I asked her how she living.
Oh, yeah.
How you living?
I was telling him last night, there's no way that I can outgive him because, while he gives to me, yes, in the material, but just the level of security, the comfort, he's my best friend.
Heck, leave.
He's my best friend. And he's ultimate, and I said this at your 30th still standing party.
Mm-hmm.
He is my home. So, literally wherever we are,
And also, when we met, she had never been anywhere except for military assignments. She had never like vacation and travel. And I was like, "Oh, you never been nowhere? Oh, you with the right dude. Let's roll."
Now it's to the point.
She don't even remember half the places.
Yeah, that part. Natasha, I just want to stay home. He likes to go on trips that are like 5, 6, and 7 days. I'm like, 4, please. I want to
get back to the house.
Yes, my home is my own resort. It really
She'd have been
is.
so many places. She'd be forgetting. I'd be like, "Babe, we were there."
Well, yeah.
And she'd be like, "Where?" And then I have to tell her, and she go, "I still don't remember." So one day I sat down and I wrote, I think, but it was 50, it was like 61 places in 17 years. We've been in over 60 different nations.
Yeah.
States, cities, countries, like San Diego or Vegas or Atlantic City, whatever.
To vacation.
Vacation. That's why I'm always stressing it. I'm always stressing vacation. And the reason why, here's one of the main reasons why I stress vacation and relaxation is because we all checking up out of here.
Yeah.
And you don't know when you're not going to be able to do. And what I want to have, or what I've tried to always have, even with my family, is if something should happen tomorrow, I have enough memories that will sustain me. The one thing I hate, and I'm telling this, and I hope you make sure you post this. The one thing I hate is people living their whole life and then getting to the last day and then talking about what they wish they could have. You know what I'm saying? I remember one of my friends died. He had lived in Vegas for like 17 years. And this lady gets up and she said, "And I told my husband that this was the year we were going to come out there and visit y'all." And I'm saying, you got to say that to make yourself feel better. You had 17 years to go out. And I'm so thankful that when I went out there, I always made sure I stopped to visit them and to, have dinner or something. So again, I believe that we should live our lives because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And what I want to do is have pictures. You should have pictures of your family on vacation and your wife and places and her laughing and whatever. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's 2 days, because again, the work will always be there. The bills will never go away. And the kids will always introduce something else to you that you'd be like, "God dang, I had $20.
That's true. He said I had $20. That's true. So yeah. So last year, was it last year I gave you the ABC book?
Yes.
Last year I gave her an ABC date book. So we did pick the letter and I took her on a date for the letter. And then we filled it up last year. She didn't even know we filled it up, and I gave it to her for Christmas. So it's got all the pictures in it.
Yeah. And see, and that's what it's about, because at the end, because there's going to be an end for all of us. I don't want to look back and say, "Oh, I wish I had."
Yeah.
So I want to do it. So that's why I travel. I just leave, next week. I'm trying to plan a trip next week. I try to plan a trip because when we get there, there are things that we like to do that's very simple. We like to hike, walk. We can go sit on a river. If there's a bench by a river and just watch the waves go by for hours and give her a cup of coffee, we good.
Yeah.
Pick up a sandwich. Me, I can make it on the subway. I like Jersey Mike's now. Jersey Mike's is better than Subway.
Okay.
Oh,
It is pressure. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, the simplicity of life, and people make it complicated, and it ain't that complicated. You should enjoy life. That's what it says in Ecclesiastes, is enjoy life. Because at the end of the day, you're just toiling under the sun, and all that you work to build, the people you leave it to will squander it because they don't know the effort that went into building it. So enjoy it. I feel like preaching right there one time.
I want to be
No.
like y'all when I grow up. I'm quitting my job tomorrow.
She lying. We've tried that several times. She's like, I can't do this. I gotta do something.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
she'll when she get in her 40s, she'll start thinking differently.
Yeah. She in her 40s.
You say I'm in my 40s.
Well, you know what? Again, you have to ask yourself, if people are honest with themselves and ask themselves why. That's what they always say. There's two words that we should always ask: why and what are you willing to do? I like the idea of planning for retirement to enjoy life on my term, or at least enjoy life with an option. But if your option is to continue to work or to go to work and you good with it, there's nothing wrong with it. It's when you got to pull yourself out of bed, you want to have the option that you don't have to do that. With Jeanette, because she was retired military, she had an option. And like I told her, I'm never going to tell you when to get out, but you cannot stay one day past 20 if the only reason why you're staying is so that we can stay in this house. That is not your responsibility. I got this. And if I check up out of here, here's some insurance. But I'm not leaving you a lot of insurance money. I'm leaving you just enough so the next guy got to pick up where I left off.
Wow.
Smart.
I ain't even at no $1
I
million.
need to change mine.
Hey, no $1 million that she up there with a 25-year-old living off my money.
You ain't
Driving
even got me on the insurance.
You're not on the insurance.
You don't have me on there.
Oh no, sir.
Only because we was divorced.
Oh, well, y'all back
I gotta
together
fix it. I gotta fix it.
tomorrow.
If I got time tomorrow.
See what I mean? It's always that.
Hey,
But
listen.
she got it. Anyway, all right.
yeah.
Let's wrap it up. Give some advice to a couple that's struggling right now, before we get out of here.
Two things. Should I say this or go ahead?
Well, one.
I want to hear from both of y'all.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, one thing, it's going to require a little bit more than love.
Come on.
That's
A
good.
little bit more than love. Okay. So you go next.
My advice to couples that are struggling is you both have to be willing. That is the key word. You have to be willing. You have to. One thing I tell people is you go back and watch that movie, the first Tyler Perry, Why Did We Get Married? Or something like, I think it was called Why Did We Get Married? Why Did I Get Married? Whatever.
Why did I get married?
Yeah.
Okay, if you watch the movie, they never answer the question. They never answer. Go back and watch it.
That's
They
true.
never answer the question. What they do tell you at the end is what both people were willing to do to stay married. So the movie should have been called Willing. That should have been the name of the movie. But if you go back and you take those two perspectives and watch it, you'll see that at the end, because remember, at the end, everybody had to figure out what they had to do for the other person, and they had to be willing to do it to stay married. But it never answered the question, why did we get married? It answered the question, why are we going to stay married? And I think people have to be willing, because again, if I'm willing and she's not, even as a pastor, if y'all came into my counseling session and she said, Pastor, it don't make no difference what you say. I want out. My counseling session would have been over in 30 seconds. All right, then, but let me pray for y'all and we're going to call it a day. Because I'm not going to convince you of what you telling me. I'm not willing to do nothing. Yeah. See, my last marriage, my ex-wife said that to me. She says, I don't want to be your wife. And I'm not willing. Because I took her to the movie and I said, hey, you got to be willing. And she looked at me straight. I'm not willing. Okay, but let me go get these papers. Now, this is how crazy I am. Since you don't really have no grounds for this divorce, there will be no departing gifts. So all you would get out of here is your freedom. That was it. I'm not giving up nothing. Now, I ain't giving up nothing because there's no justification for it other than the fact you don't want to be married. And I'm cool with that. Because she didn't want my leadership. And I told her, hey, if you don't like the way I lead, find you a new leader. And you know what she said to me? She said, you think you're the only good dude out there? I said, absolutely not. But you're going to have to go through some weeds to find another one. And I said this, and I quote, I hate to be you when you're looking up at another that's looking down, that's not taking responsibility. Now, y'all figure out what I'm saying in the Christian world and in the secular world. You know exactly what I'm saying. Oh yeah, that's how I talk. That's right. That's why they can't fool with me, Kelly Cole, because that's how I come with it. I come with it like that.
Yes, sir. For sure. Well, that was one thing. Will, and what's the other thing? You said you had two.
Men have to learn balance.
Mm.
Balance is key. And see, that was my problem. And I tried to learn more balance in this marriage because I'm an extremist. I'm all in, I'm all out. I'm your boy, I ain't. I'm on your team, or I'm not. I got you, or I don't. I don't know how to vacillate in the middle. I don't know how to do that, pick your battles, all them battles.
He's learned.
You know, they say,
that there are shades.
Yeah,
right.
But I try to, but I'm an extremist. I tell you, I got this. Get in the car, look out the window, enjoy the ride. I don't need you telling me. I don't need all that.
Yeah.
I just need you to be the cheerleader. That's what what cheerleaders do. They cheer.
Yeah.
My wife's problem was in the beginning. It was two starting quarterbacks on the field, and I'm calling the play, and then she audible my play, and I'm like, what the heck? I need that Rodney Johnson. He's my man. If he can't do it, nobody can. No. I'm talking about blue 48, 19 slant. And she up there talking about 19 slant, reverse, pivot, 19 blue. I'm like, who called that? She called it. Who you listen to? I listen to her. What? Hey, hold up. Hey, before you go, let me tell you this one story. When I first married her, I'll never forget this. Her daughter was washing dishes and she turned the water on and she just let it run while she was doing all kinds of other stuff. So I was like, hey, when you're not using it, turn the water off. And her daughter looked at me and said, no, her daughter looked at her mother, and then her mother, my wife, said, I pay the water bill here.
Oh.
Yeah. Now.
Hey ladies, it's your girl here, Natasha. I'm just coming to you simply asking, do you have your own devotional? We can take your favorite scripture and turn it into a devotional. Our team is ready to help you. Just go to our website, www.customdevotionals.com.
Now listen to me. Y'all listen to me. And I want all y'all out there in the Christian world to listen to me. Now, because I'd already been married twice, I said, okay, hey, honey, can I see you for a second?
Yes, because we had a guest over. Nancy was at the house.
And I said, hey, babe, can I see you for a minute? I'm going to go downstairs. Because see, before this marriage, all hell would have broke loose. To the H, to the E, to the double L. Okay?
I believe it.
Yeah.
So we go downstairs, and I said, now, first of all, what you did was very disrespectful. Then you just really kicked my authority to the curb. So this is what I need you to do. When you go back to work, I need you to take that allotment that you used to pay all those bills. I need you to stop that. Cut all that out. I got this. See, some men can't do that because they need her to pay the water bill. I didn't marry you for you to pay the water bill. I married you for you to enjoy the water. But when I see waste, I should be able to say something in my house to whoever is here.
Yeah.
And you just cut my throat and just showed that to her. Oh, yeah, we're going to, let's hold on to that.
Yeah.
I feel like Jeanette has a comment.
Yeah, just another learning curve I had to, and that was in the beginning. Another thing, like if a person is struggling, a woman in her marriage is struggling, you need godly women.
Yeah.
In your circle. I was very fortunate. I had a lady. Her name is Gloria Penix, and she's a member of our church as well, and she has helped me from the beginning. No, Jeanette, with this type of husband, you can't do that, or you need to do this, So I was able to learn also. So two things from me, it's going to take a lot more than love, to get through, whatever struggles you have, and to have a good, a good godly women around you. And I've never really been one to have a lot of female friends, but I have embraced the ones that I do.
That's awesome. All right, tell them about the church and when you have service and how can they.
Man, ain't nobody coming, man. I don't know. Post it, man. Do what you do, man. Put it on Twitter, man. I've been there 8 years.
All about a song and a word.
I got 14 members, 8 years, 14 members. Don't nobody want to come on a Saturday night. They tell me, oh, if you was on Sunday, it'd be packed in here. No, it wouldn't, because it should be packed on Saturday.
But you know what? We're going on 8 years.
Blessed in the
We really are.
Hey.
Every Saturday, our churches, we really operate in excellence. And that's coming from this guy who's, so, yeah.
It's a great ministry if you want the word without the drama. Because see, drama comes from heritage and lineage and agendas and tradition and all that stuff. And we just kick all that stuff out. Look, it's hard to get into a bunch of mess when you're only there for an hour.
Hey.
Yeah. You know, so it's a very simple ASAW community church, but serving and giving begins at Saturday nights at 6 o'clock. Now, I'm telling you, don't come in July because the whole church will be on vacation. Everybody's going on a sabbatical. The members, the musicians, the pastor, everybody.
That's awesome.
That's
Awesome.
No other church would ever.
Never.
But see, you know what? Here's why. Well, you know why, but let me just put it out there. The reason why a church won't shut down is because they know that if they shut down, the donation is going to go down. And it's about the money. And people don't always want to talk about ministry and it's about this. But then when you go to your church and you ask your church, well, what ministries are we doing? They can't give you none. There's no account, there's no track record of it. You know, there's no program for the kids. There's no after school program for the members' children. There's no that we're feeding the church in Africa. That's great. But what about the churches down the street? What about a 15-mile? Every church should have a handprint of a 15-mile radius of their door where they're doing something to affect change in the community. A computer lab once a week for all the kids struggling in school, or having 2 teachers on staff for extra help for something. There's nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
All they do is going to give you some food and give you some clothes, which is needed. But again, when you keep giving people food, you don't teach them how to fish. So therefore, they keep coming. One of the ministries we supported, the lady told me she'd been serving the same families for 17 years. I'm like, how do you serve the same families for 17 years? Like, at some point. And then I said, well, what about their spiritual growth? She said, that's not my concern. I'm only concerned about the physical aspect. I said, but that's why they are suffering physically, because you have ignored the spirituality of it all, that you can't keep giving. So anyway, I'm just saying.
All right. I need both of y'all to complete this sentence. Marriage is blank.
Jacked up. I'm sorry. That was an alley-oop, man. I'm a comedian and a pastor. I'm sorry. All right, say someone say.
Marriage is blank.
Marriage is
Full.
Okay.
You know, when done, I don't want to say properly, but done wholesome, you know, with a wholesome intent.
Yeah.
You know, when it's operating at 100.
That's a good.
Marriage is rewarding. There's a reward that comes from marriage. No, it is. Marriage
What's
is
the reward?
Reward oneness. The dependability of the oneness. See, here's why I say, you said marriage, and the reason why I said rewarding, because if you had said married, there's nothing with married.
Right.
Marriage has history. Marriage has memories. Marriage has activities. Marriage has growth. Marriage has exercises. Marriage has a lot of things. My wife and I, in our marriage, can sit outside on the deck, eat dinner, and then sit there for 2-3 hours and maybe talk or maybe not talk. And it's okay. Sometimes a lot of conversation, sometimes it's not. But just in the presence, it's rewarding when you share life with someone and you have that likeness and you like each other and you do things. See, my previous marriage, I was married.
Yeah.
And people say, well, what's the difference? I said, well, if you take away eating, sleeping and going to the movies, there was no other activities. On Saturdays, she got up, went her way, I went my way, and we came back and crossed paths in the middle. Now, in a marriage, when I leave, she leaves. When I'm gone, she's gone. Now, she does do some things with her daughters and her mom and all those things. But for 85% of life's activities, I'm involved. When I get in the car to go, she getting in the car to go. You know, so the marriage is activities. I'm not hiking by myself. I lived here. How long did I live here before you came? I lived here seven to 8 years, right? 7 to 8 years. My previous marriage, the lady I was married to, my former wife, we never walked in this community. Never, not 1 mile.
Oh, wow.
I walked by myself and she didn't walk. With her, I know we got tens of thousands of miles in 17 years. That's the marriage. We got all types of pictures of hiking places where we have hiked. And please, folks, don't think we extremists. We ain't all up in 18,000 feet. We on, you know, moderate, low to moderate impact, 2, 3, 4 mile courses by the National Parking Services that's mapped out. Sometimes she be trying to be adventurous, talking about, baby, let's go here. I go, there ain't no path and I don't see no sign. So we gonna stay here because see, if something happened to her, I don't know what to talk about. And he pushed her. No, I didn't. All my bills are paid. I don't need her money. I'm good. But that's the difference. Marriage is rewarding if you put the effort in it. I feel like preaching one more time. Y'all lying.
Can't close it out no better than that. Thank y'all so much for this.
We finally won podcast. Where we still won over here.
Come on.
Our podcast still won, finally won. But whatever it is, it got to be won.
Pass the offering plate.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get us started.
Don't get me started because you know I say something. Let me just say I ain't been paid since November of last year. How about that?
Well, God bless you all.
Yes.
Thank you all so much.
That's
My cheeks are hurting. I'm laughing so much.
Hey, when you put the address of the church up there, just put the website too, the giving site.
Got you. What's the address? I mean, what's the website?
You created it.
I've created a lot of them.
ASAWCC.org. You did all my
just
stuff.
wanted to come to you, thanking you for checking out the Finally Won podcast.
Listen, this is what we need you to do. We need to grow our following. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Make sure you're sharing these episodes. You don't know what couple that they may help. So subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You don't know who you're going to help. And make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yes, guys. Share. Help us.
Yep. And you don't know who you're going to help. So it's not about us. It's about helping couples, right?
Share. Yeah.
So share, like, subscribe. Help us get our following up.